Raju, thanks so much. Joining me now, Congressman Eric Swalwell of California. He's a member of the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, thanks so much for being with us. This news that Manu is reporting that the Senate Intel Committee has spoken to several Russians who were in that meeting with Donald Trump Jr. How significant is that? And has your committee been in touch with any of these folks?
Good evening, John. It's highly significant to the question of whether any U.S. persons worked with the Russians. It's not disputed. There's been no evidence to counter the proposition that Russia attacked our democracy. That's settled. The key question now is who on the Trump campaign, if anyone, worked with the Russians. Now, this meeting, as you know, John, shows a eagerness and a willingness to work with Russians. After all, the title of the email chain with Jared Kushner and Paul Manafort was Clinton, Russia, Private Confidential. We are seeking to interview every person who was in that meeting. We have not been able to, with the exception of Jared Kushner, just yet.
So if you did have a chance to ask these Russians any questions, what would those questions be?
Sure. So, I would want to know, what their relationship was to Vladimir Putin, what their relationship was or continued to be with the FSB and the SVR and the GRU, the Russian intelligence services. Also, John, if you take a step back and think about the context of this meeting, it's during June of a presidential election. How did they secure a meeting with a presidential campaign where they said it was about Russian adoptions? It's just, no one buys that the meeting was about Russian adoptions or that a presidential campaign would be willing to work with them. So you're going to be comparing stories to look for inconsistencies. And also, I think you want to find out what was the prologue before this meeting, what was the epilogue after, what set up the meeting and what was the follow-up? Because it's hard to also imagine that this was just a one-off.
So Chairman Richard Burr says they're sequencing the timing of the interviews with everyone else first before they get to Donald Trump Jr. Help us understand what that means.
Yeah, that's a classic bottom-up investigation. I wish we were doing that in the House investigation. You want to, start with the outside, they call them satellite witnesses, and then get closer and closer to the center, so that way when you confront the individual in the center of the investigation, you have the facts from everyone on the outside. So you're looking for inconsistencies. You're looking to see if the stories match up. So you don't want to go early at a witness without all of the document production. We did that with Jared Kushner. We brought him in early. We didn't, he didn't turn over almost any documents to us, and he decided on his own that he wanted to end the interview about 2.5 hours into it. And so that is not how you would conduct an investigation. What the Senate is doing is encouraging, because we do need a serious investigation into this.
And how important is President Trump's involvement? We're talking about this meeting in June of 2016. He allegedly didn't know about the meeting beforehand, but now there are questions about, did he help craft the statement after that Donald Trump Jr. made when the New York Times was reporting about it?
Key is understanding then candidate Trump's knowledge. And John, any father-son relationship, they're always complicated. But if you believe that Donald Trump dictated to Don Jr. what his statement would be after the meeting, there's ample evidence that occurred. It's hard to believe that he didn't know about the meeting just a few floors below that occurred at the time. And so, that is something that we want to seek to understand, because again, it puts it in context. This is also the same year that Donald Trump is seeking to do business in Russia, where Felix Sater and Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's lawyer, are saying we can engineer this to elect our boy, Donald Trump. So understanding his knowledge and their intent is central.
Congressman Eric Swalwell, California, thanks so much for being with us.
My pleasure, John. Thanks a lot.
Up next.